Welcome to the Adhvaitha Decoding Reality podcast. In today's episode, I will talk about the movie Matrix and Vedanta. And we will see how this movie has got a lot of things right about the nature of reality and about the illusion and simulation in which we are in. The basic premise of this movie is that this reality is a projection. It's a simulation which is created for us by a higher form of intelligence. This is a fictional movie, of course, but I found striking similarities between this fictional movie and the ancient Upanishads, which are the teachings which were given to us by the ancient rishis of India over 10,000 years ago. So stay tuned, because in this video, we will understand 3 hidden revelations from the Upanishads to understand what this movie got right, and also to consciously take control of this simulated reality in order to live our lives the way we truly want to live. The Adhvaitha channel is about conscious living and conscious creation. Here we explore ancient scriptures and spiritual teachings from India to understand the nature of reality and to consciously create our lives. Let's start with part 1, which is the simulation. Many scientists like the 2004 Nobel laureate David Gross and Nima Arkani have said that time-space is doomed. More and more physicists are now saying time and space are simply concepts that exist, but they are not absolute and they are not fundamental to existence itself. Physics tells us that space and time fail to have operational meaning beyond the Planck scale. This is what is said in an article by Donald Hoffman. Before this theory, most of the scientific community and most of the theories on the nature of reality were based on the fact that time-space reality is fundamental and everything else comes after that. But this theory and his research basically shows us that time and space is simply an illusion, or time and space are not fundamental to existence. But this was known to the ancient rishis of India thousands of years ago. What did they tell about the nature of reality? And if time and space is not fundamental to existence, then what is? What is beyond time space? This we will look at in the next part. But here we need to understand that time space reality is simply a projection. It is not fundamental to existence. It is just a concept that exists, but it is not existence itself. There is something beyond this. There is something beyond the simulation which is actually real, which is actually what this universe is about. The ancient Upanishads talk about a concept called Maya. Maya is simply the veil of illusion, and this Maya has 2 qualities. One is projection. Maya basically projects this universe the way it is today by projecting time, space and causation. So first, this Maya creates time, space and causation, and with this canvas of time, space reality, Maya projects the rest of the universe for us to experience. Second, Maya is also concealment. Maya basically hides the actual nature of reality, and it creates a veil of illusion which basically makes us believe that this world is real and it is absolute. Now, because we think that this world is absolute and it is infinite, we are stuck in an infinite cycle of samsara, which is the infinite cycle of birth and death. So as per Hindu scriptures, a human soul or the subtle body passes through various physical bodies as different animals, different people, etc. And we have various experiences. And as we have these experiences, we accumulate karma and we go on gathering more and more data and information within our system. And because of this, we are born again and again. And this cycle is infinite until and unless we break it. With this, let us come to part 2, which is the consciousness. Here, we need to understand the principle of Brahman. Upanishads describe Brahman as the absolute reality, and Brahman is God. And for those who don't believe in God, Brahman is simply pure intelligence or pure consciousness. This pure consciousness existed before the creation of this universe, and it will continue to exist even after the dissolution of the universe. And this universe itself is nothing but Brahman. It is nothing but consciousness itself. Adi Shankaracharya said, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Napara, which translates to Brahman alone is real, this world is simply an appearance, and the individual Jiva is one with that infinite Brahman. This we will understand by the end of this video. Now let us understand certain verses from the Chandogya Upanishad to understand the nature of this existence. Chandogya Upanishad at one place says, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, which translates to everything is Brahman. So, every aspect of this existence is that pure intelligence or pure consciousness. This is why we find intelligence everywhere. We find intelligence in a blade of grass, in an animal, in a bird, in an insect. So, intelligence is everywhere. And this pure intelligence which governs the universe is Brahman. And this Brahman existed before the universe and it will exist after the universe. And the same Chandogya Upanishad also says Tattvamasi, which translates to you are it, that thou art. Here, the Chandogya Upanishad is telling us that you and me are in fact that infinite pure consciousness, the principle of God within which the universe has emerged. So, we are not who we think we are. We are not this limited beings with this body and mind, but in fact, we are that infinite consciousness which is the existence itself. Now, you can understand the teachings of Adhvaitha Vedanta and what I am talking about here in the next few minutes with this simple example. Now, watch these diagrams carefully. The first diagram represents the dream state. Now, we all dream different dreams. Within our dreams, we do not know who we truly are. We identify ourselves with a dream ego and we experience various things in the dream world. We talk to different people, we go on hiking, we climb mountains, etc. in our dreams. All the while, we think that whatever we are experiencing in the dream world is actually real. We think that it is actually happening to us. But what happens once we wake up? Once we wake up, we realize that all of it, every person within the dream, every animal, every tree, every object within the dream was simply a projection in your mind. It was all a temporary simulation. It was the matrix. That is what we will realize. Now let us look at the second diagram. Here, the same thing happens. Once we wake up from the dream, we just assume that this reality, just because this is a much organized and a much sophisticated reality, we think that this waking reality and the universe that we see all around us is absolute. It is ultimate and we think that there is nothing beyond this. But what we need to realize is that just like how we assumed the dream ego to be ourself and we experience the dream world, we are right now assuming this body that we have right now to be real and we think that this is us. We need to wake up from this reality to reach the state of pure consciousness. It is actually the pure consciousness within which the universe is appearing. We can put it in this way, that infinite consciousness is dreaming this universe. And once we wake up from this reality, as we can see in this final diagram, we realize ourselves as that infinite consciousness which was there before this universe. This is how we need to understand this reality. Part 3 is about conscious creation. Now, what should we do with this knowledge, right? We understood that this universe is a simulation, it is a projection. This part, the movie Matrix has got it right. But the other part is the fiction. Here we will go deeper into the teachings of the Upanishads to understand how one should live their life in accordance with this knowledge to attain that absolute knowledge. First of all, we need to realize that right now we have identified ourselves with this body and mind. And because of this, we are stuck in this world of samsara and we are experiencing the infinite cycles of birth and death. In order to come out of it, we need to disidentify ourselves with this body and mind and recognize our true nature as that divine infinite consciousness. And once we start to understand that we are not this body and our true nature is that Brahman, we will begin to feel fulfilled. We will come out of fear and we will attain absolute fulfillment. This is because when we identify with our body and mind, we think we are limited. And with this limitation, we try to create various things in this world like relationships, wealth, etc. Since we identify with the limitations of the body and mind, whatever we create is always limited. So it is important to first realize ourselves for what we are. Then we can begin to consciously take control of this simulation. We can begin to design our lives the way we actually want to live. This will become easy because the outcomes will not matter anymore. We will realize that this is simply a dream and this is simply a game and a simulation. And since this is not real, ultimately what we achieve in this material world doesn't matter. But we can start to create a positive environment, we can begin to create positive health, and we can create abundance in our lives by understanding that our personality creates our personal reality in this material world. So we talked about karma in the previous part. Karma is the accumulated memory that we hold because of our past lifetimes. And this karmic data has created a momentum for our lives and it has created a set destination for our lives. Now, if we want to take control of our lives and consciously create something in this world, we are basically going against that inertia of karma. So for this, we need to be conscious of our thoughts, feelings, and our emotions. So because of our karma, we have certain vasanas which give rise to different thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we think all day long. Because of all this, we are living a certain kind of life right now, and this is how our personality has created a personal reality for us. This was happening unconsciously. Now with this knowledge, we can start to consciously craft a new personality. We can come out of the vasanas that were created because of our karma through conscious living, through understanding of this knowledge. And we can also start to live the way we actually want to live, and we can also create the life that we actually enjoy by crafting a new positive personality.